Oh,
All
yeah,
right, we're on.
we're on. Good day, good
Usually,
morning, bots.
morning everybody. Usually, for the that one bot that is watching, which I always want to not miss out on and congratulate on finding this channel. They are usually expecting something that is terrifying, exciting at the same time. It's like how we like to keep it. And recently, I think for the last few episodes, we'll be just watching things crash. We always open with some shit is burning or crashing, right? Which I love. So I think this week I couldn't find any plane crashes on X. So what I thought is, instead of a plane crash, how about something on the positive side, right? So let's start with this one here. Have you seen the new Air India
Namaste.
ads?
Welcome aboard Air India. Kindly pay attention as we take you through the safety instructions. Note that the location of the safety equipment on this aircraft may vary from other aircraft.
Oh, yeah.
To fasten your seatbelt, insert the metal tip into the buckle and pull the strap. To unfasten, lift the flap and pull the ends apart. Business class guests should pull the shoulder strap and secure it in the seatbelt attachment below. Please place all cabin baggage in the overhead compartment or underneath your seats, except in the exit row. Ensure your seats are upright, tray tables are closed, and window shades are open during takeoff and landing.
There you go.
Use of large electronic devices like laptops is not permitted during takeoff and landing. Small devices like mobile phones may be used only in flight mode. Smoking and use of e-cigarettes is not permitted on the aircraft. Tampering with lavatory smoke detector is prohibited.
So weird.
There are 8 emergency
That is the classic,
aircraft.
go
Please
to
locate
Sundance,
the
right?
one closest to you. Note that the nearest exit.
Well, I guess you kind of get the flow of it as to where it's all headed.
So it's
They're
all
basically trying
dance-based
to
and
yeah. So there's just half of it, right? So the other half is again all the different folk dances and from different parts of the country. So they're kind of combining tourism with engagement of people usually ignoring the safety instructions, which are like fucking boring as fuck. The last one I think saw was I think on Emirates, which kind of had like I think recently the impact of what British Airways did was they had Mr. Bean, I think, a while back, and then that was I think a transition, and then from there it was for a long time a bunch of fucking tunes get on a what do you call the plane and do all this funny nonsense and just try to engage you basically to pay attention to that. And then
they had the New Zealand one, right, with the Lord of the Rings.
the
theme
New
going.
Zealand, yeah, New Zealand was I think the whole tourism thing. And the other thing is which our friend Asif told me about was I showed him this video. I mean, I asked him about it, and he said, well, one of his friends who works in the industry, he worked on the Canadian one. What the Canadians did is they had the outdoors, and they would show all the safety instructions and all that outdoors. So I think what Air India did is they took the New Zealand's tourism, and they took the Canada's outdoorsy display of safety instructions and combined it together with like just hyper real engagement basically, right? So I think in tech I mean, the reason I think when I looked at the video, it kind of resonated with me is because not just because it's a good ad. I mean, India has been amazing at making ads, especially when it comes to sense of humor, for a long time, since the 90s. The golden era. Even Australia. Actually, Australia is the one who had jingles. I think I've mentioned it before as well. Australia was the king. They were at the forefront of making amazing,
It was
engaging
the jingle
ads.
king, yeah.
But I think that at the moment, if you look at corporate videos or you look at how you create engagement among people who need to watch boring
You need to
shit,
pay attention.
how do you
basically.
do that? How do you grab someone's attention, right? So these people have done it in spades. I mean, if it was me, I would just save all that money because ultimately they own the fucking plane, right? It's not like they can run away.
It's not like they're gonna go
You
anywhere.
can just force them to watch the fucking thing. Who cares, man? So, but I think it's also a form of advertising for in Air India more than a safety. I think it's more about the advertising because they got the YouTube channel now. They got new uniforms coming, and they have a huge plane order, like the biggest order of planes on the planet. Like Tata is behind that. And I think they also are opening up airports to coincide with this whole thing, right? New airports are coming up in India. So no crashes this week, nothing burning. So more on the positive side, I guess. The other one, now going from here to back to our usual
Terrifying scheduled programming.
terrifying, set of programming. The other one is, I guess, on one side actually, Mark Ruffalo had actually something to say. So I thought maybe let's have a look at that. And a couple of people actually, the weird part, right? Before I actually get on with the program, it's kind of weird that the NVIDIA CEO, he's a pretty smart cookie. He's pretty smart. Right? I agree. Nobody gave a
Probably
shit.
the smartest cookie.
Yeah, nobody gave a shit while he had all this, opinion. Nobody gave a shit. Like he never got millions of views, or even thousands of views, right? Just a few hundred views here and there. He never got invited to any of the summits or whatever. Now, his market cap is like gone through the roof. Like, like his company now is worth billions, right? Trillions, actually.
Trillions, yeah.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, everyone wants to hear what the fuck he's saying, right?
No,
Which is kind of weird.
They want to hang on every single word that he says. They're like, oh,
every single
NVIDIA
word.
CEO said this, Oh my God.
Yeah. So I think the other point is also, I think we got to be careful as to nobody knows
What the future is,
right? And at the moment, you got the Musks and you got the Bezos and you got all these people, right? Actually, Jeff Bezos, I have a bit of respect for him. When someone asked him, I respect everybody, but I think the idea is respect for his word in the sense that he doesn't assume to be something that if he doesn't know anything, he will just say it, I don't know, right? And that requires a lot of humility, right? So I think there was... for a certain launch, Amazon marketplace or some kind of a launch for small, medium businesses in India, he had a whole thing where he traveled to India and he had a 2-day summit or whatever. And Shah Rukh Khan was there. He was invited to interview Jeff Bezos. And he asked Jeff Bezos that, hey, when you started this whole thing, were you someone who had this vision? He said, my only vision is to tackle brick and mortar bookstores. My whole idea was that as a business, I just want to open something that's online. And we sell books online, digitally. That's it, right? And then this whole thing unwrapped itself and it exploded. And then I went on to do other businesses and all that. And it was all basically, all a coincidence, which is amazing, right? I mean, you will not see a CEO right now claim to that. They will all say, oh yeah, they had a vision and they knew exactly what they were doing. And at the moment, the problem is that when you have this, I think that is kind of a messiah complex. If you're someone from monotheist religion, you will actually understand that. Yeah, there's this whole visionary CEO thing, right? Where they cash in on the idea that they know exactly what they're talking about. And they're trying in a semi way, in a very slight very slee hand of a way, they're trying to say to you that, oh, they know what the future is.
No,
and trust them.
Yeah.
Right. So our first example would be this one, and I think it is causing people to get terrified because when you let these people just run amok and say whatever they want, they could be right. But
not only it's not just a matter of you let these people run amok and say what they want. It's like when these people command a certain level of respect and they say something, whether that something is true or untrue, or whether that is even remotely possible or
Yeah.
impossible, that is not
Yeah.
the case. The idea is that these people are respected, so people hang on every single word that they say. They will listen to these people, they will agree with these people, and they will say, yeah, that's exactly how it's going to be, that's what's going to happen, and we should all be terrified, or we should all be happy, or we should all be excited. I have people in my among my colleagues who are like this, like who are fans of a certain individual, and when that certain individual says something, whether it's nonsensical or whether it makes sense or whatever it is, they'll just be like, yeah, that guy said it, so it must be true.
Yeah, so I think that's why if you look, what is it? What's the guy's name, man? The guy who does all these. He's got a fantastic way of speaking. He's really entertaining, and he does all these car reviews. He basically reviews all these different cars in Australia. Joe Rogan, right? And he called Elon Musk the electric Jesus, right?
Electric what?
Electric Jesus, that's what he
Electric
calls
Jesus.
the electric
Jesus.
Messiah, right?
Electric
so
Messiah.
the whole idea of selling everything on electric, like his whole backing is everything, which is not entirely true, by the way. So,
by the way, shout out to Joe Rogan. Your videos are awesome,
man. Yeah. I watch a lot of his stuff. Yeah. I mean, I don't act upon any of the stuff but I have used his opinion to inform my opinion. If it makes sense. He's fantastic, by the way. He's an Australian
you should go check it out.
YouTuber who does cars basically, and he tells you how the car business works as well. So you learn a lot about the car business.
It's going to sound completely opposite of what people feel. Over the course of the last 10 years, 15 years, almost everybody who sits on the stage like this would tell you it is vital that your children learn computer science. Everybody should learn how to program. And in fact, it's almost exactly the opposite. It is our job to create computing technology such that nobody has to program, and that the programming language is human. Everybody in the world is now a programmer. This is the miracle of artificial intelligence. The countries, the people that understand how to solve a domain problem in digital biology or in education of young people or in manufacturing or in farming, those people who understand domain expertise now can utilize technology that is readily available to you. You now have a computer that will do what you tell it to do. It is vital that we upskill everyone, and the upskilling process, I believe, will be delightful, surprising. I'm going to say
it's a pain in the ass.
So
the upskilling process is a pain in the ass, is what it is.
Yeah, the upskilling process is a pain in the ass. Just hire some new graduates.
So hang on. Let's just dissect what this guy said. Right? He said,
please do.
10 years ago. 10 years ago, everybody said that, your child has to study computer science. Well, okay, let's that's 10 years ago. Let's go back 22-ish years, okay? Because that's when I graduated, right? So I did computer engineering, all right, from university. And back then, everybody still said that if your child has to do anything in the world, they have to learn computer science, computer programming. Yeah. They have to understand that whole side of things. Here's the case. What he's saying is that, look, we've actually brought programming down to the human level, correct? 20 years ago, I would argue that people who are working in that field would say the same thing, like, programming is so easy now, like it's become so easy, there's so many resources available, you can just go out there, pick a book on programming, and they'll teach you all these concepts that I had to figure out like 30 years before. You see,
right?
Every single generation, every single person says, well, learning programming or learning how to code, learning how to develop is the easy thing. It's the domain knowledge that's actually difficult, which to an extent they are right. But that doesn't completely invalidate the idea that you have to, you shouldn't go and study computer programming. Because guess what? In the future, that AI that he is, so proud of, you need technicians to manage the AI. You need people who are at a certain technical capacity to manage the AI. What this is why that's like a hot take over there.
Yeah, but I also feel that yes, you need people to manage. But he's saying that in the future, if you're someone who needs help in your domain, you would just ask computers what to do things for you, and they would do it for you without you having to know how they work.
What I'm saying is, if you take it over a span of like decades or whatever, millenniums or centuries or whatever, right? Every time technology took a forward leap, people thought that, okay, now we have the best technology, therefore what we learned previously doesn't apply anymore. Or we have to change what we've done previously from what we have been doing previously. Every time there's a
Right.
technological leap, that's the general sentiment. But what I'm saying is, regardless of the technical leap, there are still going to be people who are going to go out there and study computer science because that's what they want to study. Doesn't invalidate that what they're doing is wrong or what they're doing is incorrect. All I'm trying to say is that in the future,
Right.
if in the future, if you are a technical person, if you are somebody who's trained technically, there will still be a future for you because you will always be needed. Technical people, engineers, developers, whatever you want to call them, they will always be needed because there will
Right.
always be problems that neither AI nor extremely intelligent machines can solve.
Well, the other question is that do you think people who do not have domain knowledge, they can develop something for that domain?
Yeah, you
It's like
definitely
trying to
can.
create zero
Yeah,
without understanding accounting.
100%. Why not?
No, but can it be done
Yeah, it
by
can be
people
done.
who do not know accounting? I mean,
100%
question
can be done.
is, was zero created by people who were not doing accounting?
I'm not sure what Zero's backstory was, but what I'm trying to say is, say for example, if I
No, MyOb Zero, Salesforce. It was created for contact centers, right?
yeah, but
In the
what I'm
beginning.
trying to say is I don't know how those things came about. I'm sure there was like a partnership of some sort where somebody, the founder, might have had domain knowledge, and then they probably had like a development partner, and then they had like probably somebody who was a designer or what. I don't know how these things come about. I haven't read up on the history of how these companies came to be because honestly I can't be bothered and I'm not that
Yeah.
interested in those companies. Okay, so that's the whole thing. But let's say for example you and I, right? We want to go and create a software um for people who are working in the plumbing sector, okay? Who are plumbers
Right.
and they have to manage their inventory, they have to manage a lot of different things that are specifically related to plumbing, okay? All you and I have to do to actually get up and running, we have to identify, okay, what is this software, what is this software that we're trying to develop, what is it actually going to solve, what problem is it solving? We talk to the people, other domain experts that we have access to, right? We take them out for coffee, we take them out for drinks or whatever it is, get their insight. They will give us some information, and then we try to fill that in somehow into our software, right? We build a version 1, we build a zero, basically a zero version. We let them use it, they'll give us more feedback, and that whole feedback loop, it creates. And then what will happen is over time, just through a little bit of that, osmosis, you will actually understand the domain. You will begin to understand the domain.
So, well, that's a bit like consultancy, or I would
Yeah.
say something like, I mean, that has been the traditional model. At
Yeah.
the moment, the way software is created, they work with that part of the industry to
Yeah.
do that. So, you're saying that even in AI,
100%.
we'll continue on that.
No, because bro, there is always going to be a huge section of the population that is not willing to engage with AI for whatever reason.
Right. So, let's say if you had to make a farming, an
Okay,
AI
let's take his
product,
example, farming product, right?
Yeah, farming product. Now, the first step has been taken where they have engaged a big, a multi-giant billion corporation, to go and build something for them. Once they've built it, they've learned the product. Those guys have got the benefit out of it. Now, all the small farmers, right? It's like John Deere. So someone has built something for the big ones, and then they work their way down to other farms.
Yeah.
And now those people do not need to engage. What I'm trying to say is that in the long run,
or it's the
domain
other way. Somebody has built something for the small guy, and then they've taken that same idea, built on top of it, and sold it to the next big guy. Then built on top of that, sold it to the next big guy, until they got to the really big guys, So in the future, like coming to the crux of the problem, the guy says that look, AI is now going to solve what you need it to solve. It's not that simple. He makes
Yeah,
it
it's
sound
not
like
simple.
it's
I mean, if it was that easy, then everybody would be succeeding. So on that note,
yeah.
what we should do is watch another video,
Oh yeah, definitely. Let's go.
and this one here is about Salesforce. There's
Oh,
a
dear.
couple
Yeah,
of companies that are
Salesforce.
actually I wouldn't say dropping the ball. They've just kind of given up on that race, So let's have a look at this one.
Now, from your perspective, Rebecca, are they offering the right kind of offerings at the right price point with the right focus on margin?
Sure, Caroline. Thanks for having me today. So Salesforce got the timing right with Data Cloud, right? Just as everyone recognizes that data and metadata is actually what makes AI work, they've got Data Cloud out in production. And they're doing a lot today from a penetration perspective, offering credits to customers to get out there and start to adopt Data Cloud so they can start to experience the benefits of AI. Salesforce has some runway in other areas as well. And I think what we've seen too in the past years, they've pushed to improve efficiency and improve margins is offerings like the AWS marketplace and other more self-service things that should help them keep their cost of sales under control as well.
It's interesting whenever I hear, for example, marketing coming my way from a Salesforce, it's always about the safety, the using of your own proprietary data here. And that seems to be the sale from Snowflake too. But sticking with Salesforce, ultimately, what's your view on whether the incumbents win in this space? The fact that they've already got the deals with so many of these corporates, that they're going to be the ones that win out these AI offerings, or whether these challenges that are coming up and being VC backed can make some big inroads?
It's interesting that you asked that, Caroline, because we just did a study asking people about whom they would trust with their AI. And what we found was that it wasn't necessarily those established vendors. Buyers were more likely to trust AI solutions that came back from organizations that had traceable data and clear ethics and privacy policies, not necessarily an established vendor. So there's still a lot of room for innovators out there.
This is how I think about AI and Salesforce, right? AI means they can charge more. They're more expensive premium products. It adds value to what they already do. That did not show up in their numbers. You agree with that?
I would agree with that, but I think too what we're seeing is a penetration strategy for Data Cloud today as customers to make that.
But pause for a second. The moment he asked her that difficult question, she went into like autopilot mode.
Yeah.
You could see the switch just go flick, it goes when she just went into autopilot mode, okay? Where she's what she's doing is she's about to answer the question that she wants to be asked rather than what she was actually asked. The guy asked her
because her company probably holds a lot of shares.
Yeah, 100%.
Shares of Salesforce.
So she was asked. AI has not actually amounted to the kind of
on the sheet,
the kind of growth it promised on the sheet, didn't it? He actually asked her that. So it's a yes or no question. It's a yes or no answer.
Correct.
But she's going on this thing. Oh, it's a problem of penetration. So I'm like, oh, hang on a second. So you agree that it's a problem?
Basically, she's saying that it's a strategy where they will first give it away for free, and then they will charge later. Which could or could not work. But at the moment, there's no money.
9 times out of 10, it won't work. 9 times out of 10, it doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, they were growing about 20% every year or something like that. It was strong, and but now I think it's not happening. And Snowflake. Have you heard about Snowflake?
No, I haven't heard of it. Is it a competing product?
It's a data engine. Yeah, it's a B2B product, and it's also it does data engineering. So it helps you manage all the data in the cloud, and it works with inside Azure and inside AWS.
Oh yeah.
So basically, think of it like a plugin. Mm-hmm. All right. Think of it like an app in the App Store on the Apple phone.
Yeah.
Right. And what it does is...
So Snowflake is like an app on the Salesforce App Store or something?
No, it's an app on the AWS or Azure.
So it's actually built by Salesforce for AWS. Is that the idea?
No, Snowflake is a separate company.
Okay.
And they also had huge promise, in terms of like there are all these data engineering tools that they were built. And so basically at the moment, if you have data, let's say in the Azure cloud, and you want to manage it, they have their own tools. But in the beginning, when Azure launched or AWS launched, at that time, there was just a lot of gap. It's like a calculator with a big button was missing.
Yeah. It's like
so these people come in. Yeah.
It's like when you had no CarPlay and people were taking their phones into the car, they needed like a big play button and a big pause button.
Correct. So someone would create that app. So that's what Snowflake kind of did, if you think about it, right?
So it's a bridge. It's a stopgap, basically.
Yeah. So now what's happening is that the cloud companies like Azure and AWS, they're also now building tools that are becoming mature. So eventually Snowflake will be kind of Snowflake, Databricks, all these companies.
They'll be all gone. Yeah.
Or they will all be done. They will all be out of the business. I mean,
they won't be done. I mean, the platform owners
their growth will stabilize. Like
It's
at the
the same
moment, they
thing.
were like,
It's
yeah.
the same thing as what Apple did with CarPlay, right? When they
Yep.
finally announced CarPlay, all these apps that were actually there to make your car experience easy on in the car
Yeah.
they're all gone now. Or you know what Apple did
Correct.
with CoverFlow, right? CoverFlow was a separate app, and then Apple integrated it into their own this thing.
Correct. Yeah, man, I remember that. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
That's another one, CoverFlow. So basically, things are not shaping up. I mean, they have a moat. They are doing well in terms of they are making money, but the problem is that they had this bet on AI, and that bet has not worked out for them. So they are now going to scale it down in terms of like
You see, this
it's
is
not
where
doing
this is
well.
where this is where I think that AI, right, is a double-edged sword for everybody. AI is like a double-edged sword for everybody. You develop a product that is leveraging AI to do something, correct? You or I or anybody develops a product that is leveraging AI to do something. But because AI is so easy to integrate into whatever product you want to integrate it into, because Microsoft has made it easy through the use of GPT tools and a whole bunch of other API sort of that API layer that they've actually enabled. It's so easy. Well, it's not that easy. I'm making it sound trivial, but it's actually quite a technical feat. But it is easy enough for people to do. So because of that, you have all these companies going, well, they can do that. Why can't we just do that? If they can do it, why can't we just build it into our tools? Like, why are we depending
Well,
on them for?
I think it's a philosophical problem as well. So the issue is that AI as a discovery as to what it can do is open source by its
For the moment.
yeah, it is open source, and
Yeah.
what is going on is that they are trying to figure out a way
To regulate it.
capitalize on it and make money from it. So in order to create good margins, in order to make money off a product, you need to have a competitive advantage. You need to have something that others don't have, other businesses don't have. Problem with AI is it's like gravity. Once you discover it,
Yeah.
everybody knows what gravity is and how they can use it in order to fly things and to manage things and manage weights and build dams and fucking go into space, right? Now imagine if somehow they regulated the formula that calculates gravity. So imagine the amount of money that would be in that business. They would create patents out of it. Asif, right? I was trying to explain to him this, which I read from somewhere else. Like someone was trying to explain to me, how copyright and patents hold you back. Hold back humanity. And gravity was one that was talked about. That imagine NASA had a scientist, and Isaac Newton was working for like some kind of a company, and they discovered gravity, right? And they patented that fucking thing.
They
So
patented
imagine
the formula.
the formula of it's a secret sauce like Coca-Cola, and they don't have to tell anybody about that discovery.
Yeah.
But the companies figured it out, and now that company is now looking into it. Eventually, people will be able to get there, but they would have that head start for 10 years, and humanity will be held back because nobody would know about it apart from that company, right? And I guess nothing is wrong with that. But the thing is that requesting government to help you with having a patent where every time someone comes in and tries to, in the open market, tries to compete with you, you're taking that company down based on that you have, the right people in Congress and whatnot. So, I mean, and the other one is actually Apple, right? Apple could not, they could not keep up. So they wanted to do this whole electric car thing. So let's just have a
Let's have a look at that.
And then we'll come back to this whole thing about, AI not
collective
panning out.
wow came out of the newsroom when we saw this story cross here. I mean, this is a project that the company's been working on for a decade at this point. What do we know about Apple's electric car plans?
Yeah, so Apple this morning officially canceled work on a self-driving electric car. Jeff Williams, the company's chief operating officer, and Kevin Lynch, the company's vice president of technology, who was foremost in charge of the car project, announced to the team, it's about 2,000 people, that the project, called Titan internally, is winding down. There will be layoffs of some hardware people. Hardware people will have the opportunity to apply to other teams. Other people working on the project are being shifted to Apple's AI and machine learning division to work on generative AI products, a key feature component of the company. There will be some people move to the Vision Pro as well, with that focus on spatial computing. But this is a bombshell development. This is a very rare retreat for Apple. This is a project that they've invested over $10 billion in. They've worked on it.
Don't worry about that.
Years.
I don't know how many people are in the audience, or that one person in the audience is looking at us. Do they know of something known as the Newton?
What is a Newton?
The Newton was an Apple product. Okay, that was in the early 90s. Apple tried to develop a tablet. Basically, they tried to develop an iPad early in the 90s. Okay, and it failed miserably. Okay,
I think even Windows. Microsoft also tried, right? I think they had. Microsoft was the first one to actually create some kind of a.
Yeah, Microsoft created the very first tablet, and the Microsoft tablet was basically, it had like buttons everywhere for different functions. But the Newton, when you look at it, you're like, bro, this is like prototype iPad. It was literally like, the very first run that they tried to do of the iPad. But the technology was not there yet. So it failed. After like billions of dollars of investment into it, it released into the market. It completely failed. Like fell flat on its face, kind of failed. But then Apple came back a couple of decades later, when Steve Jobs came back, right? He looked at like, okay, look, back then we tried to do the Newton, it failed. Now we can do the iPad because we did the iPhone. So this car technology, the self-driving car thing that Apple has just dropped right now, this is something that they've dropped just now. They have patents that they've developed while working on that car tech that only they have.
That's what you go to California for, baby.
Exactly. That's the only thing. That's the only thing. That's probably the most important aspect of their development, I think, in Apple, is that they now have those patents. And they will hold on to those patents for dear life. And then eventually, in 5 or 6 or whatever, 10 years or something, when the excitement around EVs, it dies down.
It jumps, or it jumps again in sense.
No, it won't jump again. It won't jump again unless Apple gets into the game. It dies down. EVs become a commonplace thing. Okay, Honda is making an EV, Toyota is making an EV, every other car manufacturer is making an EV.
We need to get into an EV.
Tesla will be like one of many car manufacturers that you will have an option to choose from. Okay,
then Apple will aim for the higher tier market.
Then Apple will come and they will have an EV, bro, that is going to blow everybody else's EV out of the freaking water.
They will build like an operating system for EVs.
It could be they could do they'll start with an operating system for EVs and then they'll go into a full EV. I'm telling you, Apple, bro, they will do it. They will actually eventually they'll do the car.
They probably have to, because that is the biggest market out there, because they've already explored the home market.
Yeah,
like home products, and is limited at the moment because it involves construction, a lot of regulation.
But you see where Apple is going. You see they've actually removed people from their EV plans, and they've moved them
restructure,
to AI.
Brother.
They moved them to AI and they moved them to spatial computing.
Yeah.
So those two going forward, for anybody who's on this podcast or on this show right now, sorry, it's not a podcast, it's a show. For anybody who's on this show,
it's a podcast that became a show.
It's a podcast that became a show. Or
is it a show that is becoming a podcast?
Either way, whatever it is. So what Apple's doing is, what you need to keep an eye on is that they are now going into the spatial computing future and the AI future. So these two things are what Apple is betting on. That is Apple's next big growth area. Whatever people try to do with that is up to them. But if you as a technologist are not aware of where spatial computing is headed, you should be.
Yeah, so I think that the whole bet on AI, it works. It requires regulation. It requires a lobbying kind of a thing. Because if you think about it, right? GPT at the moment, I think I read somewhere on Reddit or somewhere. GPT at the moment, 30 cents. It costs them 30 cents per question you ask them.
Yeah.
That's the cost of the electricity that's running behind
it. It's nothing.
Right? No, for them it's nothing because they got 10 billion in the bank from
from Microsoft.
Operating costs, right, from Microsoft. But look, is this no such thing as a free lunch in economics? So someone is paying for it. So the economics of this whole thing is that only state I personally believe that AI is something that normal people just cannot afford. It's only big corporations, and not only just big corporations, mega corporations, and on top of that, governments. Government is going to be the biggest buyer of AI.
Because eventually, see, you're going to run into that bottleneck, right? Of we need more compute power.
We need more money.
We need more compute power. No,
More
even if
more
say
money.
no,
Yeah.
forget about money. Just for a second, you will run into the issue of compute power not because you don't have money, but because you don't have resources. You don't have access to resources to have more compute power. For example,
World War IV coming.
World War III.
It's
We
gonna be
skipped
like
over
Dune,
3, yeah?
bro. Fucking,
We skipped over
that's it.
3.
Just skip over 3. Yeah. 3 is there.
3.
4 is going to be on another planet. That's what's going to happen. Like, you know.
God.
I mean,
like Arrakis, you know,
it's
give me
ridiculous.
that.
Yeah, it'll be like Arrakis.
Give me that spice, bro.
Give me that spice, bro. You know, that's what's going to happen, you know. To compete.
Anyway,
Or they will turn people into batteries.
Into
like
batteries.
This whole
The
Neuralink
Matrix-
thing
the
that is
Matrix
happening
is
at the moment. We are headed there, man. We're definitely headed there. I mean, if you think about it, right, I was watching, so me and the missus, when we watch Bollywood movies, right, I have a thing with her. I mean, I don't really watch that many Bollywood movies, and they're mostly rubbish anyway, right? South cinema is pretty good, but mostly, yeah, the north part is, sorry to say, is rubbish, right? And some of the movies are pretty good, and recently I've enjoyed 1 or 2, but most of them are rubbish. And my missus is someone who doesn't take cinema seriously, right? For her, it's just, you know, time
Turn
pass.
off the brain and just have some fun.
Then, yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So,
Same thing with my missus, bro. Same
it's,
thing.
It's like
She
how
can-
cats watch TV.
She can
You know, something
enjoy
like that.
she can enjoy a piece of media for what it is. She doesn't look
Correct.
deep into it, you know.
I
I am
can't
the
do
one who
that.
sits
That's
there and
unfortunate for me. Yeah.
I'm the one who sits there and goes like, how did he even do that? Like how that doesn't make sense. Like where did he come up
Correct.
with the idea for that? You know, like how was that I just started analyzing it.
And in that process, right, every time I look at her, like she's watching some rom-com, whatnot, and you know, all these leading ladies are there. And recently I've started getting that Korean feeling where all the Korean actresses look the same.
They do.
I'm starting to get that feeling
do,
where
they do.
all the Bollywood actresses are starting to look the same.
Yeah, probably
And
they
I
do.
keep telling her, baby, you know, ये लड़की इसने काम करवाया हुआ है. Like, you know, has she got some work done on
Yeah.
herself? And she'll be like, yeah, I think lips are done, that is done, this is done. So, you know, it's like,
She acknowledges it. Like, yeah, it's done, right? You know.
yeah. I mean, now it's very common. There's a YouTube channel of a doctor, bro. I think he's a Brit-Indian doctor, I think, or American-Indian. And he does these shorts where he will run you through who's got what work done in for all the celebrities. And he's now recently started doing all the Bollywood stars, right?
Yeah.
And he's getting like, you know, thousands, I mean, million views easy per 500,000 views.
I think
short.
he's not just limiting himself to like the women. He's even saying what work the guys
Men.
got done. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was talking about Ranbir Kapoor, and he was saying that Ranbir Kapoor
I
got
saw
his
that.
hair done.
Yeah.
Like far out, man. Like, you know, and it's happening up earlier in their careers.
Yeah.
So it's hard for you to detect it. Right?
Yeah.
And he will give you like, sorry, you know, sorry the disturbance on the mic.
No, it's okay.
He will give you like evidence in terms of like where he thinks it started, how long back it was done, and all that. It's a very good estimated guess that he's giving you, and some are pretty obvious. He will tell you how they're done, and you can tell like what are the signs that it has been done. And what that made me think is that in the future, at the moment they say we don't discriminate, right? In terms of gender equality, diversity, there's no discrimination, right? We equal opportunity higher, higher, right? In the future, if someone comes, let's say you're the hiring manager, you got someone come in who's got a Neuralink kind of a chip in their brain, and they're 10 times more productive than a normal Harvard or MIT or Chennai IIT graduate, for example. Are you not going to hire that person who's for the same money? I mean, Neuralink, some guys got a Neuralink installed, and they can as soon as they sit down, you just need to give them a compatible laptop.
You don't even need to give them a laptop, bro. Just give them a compatible internet connection, and that's it.
Yeah, compatible internet connection or whatnot, right? And as his brain can connect into the APIs, he can do all that work.
Yeah,
and
easily.
Give you that. So what I'm saying is, where's that line? So in the future, you will have people who are maybe not good at acting, and they have a Neuralink chip that allows them to create world-class acting because they can control their muscular features or whatnot.
Yeah,
you have someone like and you can go on and on. If Stallone was born in this era, he could, because he's paralyzed on the right hand side, maybe he could use that chip to get that emotion back, get that feeling back of being able to use that side of the face.
Yeah.
Right. So what I'm
But then
trying
he
to say
won't be
is that,
Stallone then, you know.
but then he won't be Stallone.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is that, you know, in terms of businesses, you know, when they're hiring people who are connected to the internet.
Bro, okay.
Right? Where would that line cross?
I'll tell you something. A similar thing is already happening in countries like Korea, right? In South Korea, when when pretty women, very gorgeous looking women, they are actually the ones who are actually applying for all these roles, right? When they get hired,
What roles?
all kinds of roles, salesman, just in being a receptionist, anything. It
you
doesn't
meant
matter. Any and
movies
every,
or,
any and every
something.
kind of role, like in the workforce, they are told by their employer, okay, you might need to get work done.
Serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
But obviously, it might not be happening at Samsung and.
Might be happening at Samsung. You just never know, bro. Korea has a really weird, social dynamic. It's a really unusual social dynamic over there. It's very difficult for somebody who's not a Korean to actually get their head around that whole concept of, plastic surgery is
I
like
wish I
very
had
common.
a Korean friend who could ask, the social side of why this whole thing is panning out the way it is. It'd be interesting.
Yeah, but Korea does have that whole thing where both men and women, they are told, okay, yeah, you might have to get work done.
Well, talking about all this,
getting work
done. Getting all this work done, and AI taking your jobs, and people competing with you in the market.
Neuralink.
Who have Neuralink or any of that sort of advantage.
So that's like, if that happens, when that begins to happen, where people are competing with you in like Neuralink, it's like Cyberpunk 2077.
That's it, man.
Let's
It'll
go,
be
man. Let's
Cyberpunk
go.
all the way.
Let's go.
That's it,
Let's
man.
get all these augmentations done. Like, I've got a hand that can lift like 50,000 kilos, mate. Like,
correct. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. See
All I know is that Marvel and Disney have probably 1,000 hours of biometric information on me that someone could just put in a thumb drive and probably upload it to an AI learning piece of software and just have all that.
And build a new Vincent D'Onofrio.
And build a new In our lifetime, we will probably see an AI movie star who doesn't have to do roundtables and who everybody will love.
Yeah.
I would say that's probably.
Do you think that's true? Really?
Yeah.
People would love.
Well, people are like, well, how we're not going to be able to feel the way we do. And I was like, have you ever watched Toy Story?
But you're going to have generations of people used to it. Kids are going to be used to seeing AI things.
They
It's
already are.
going to be weird to them, so it's like they will love
Scary.
it.
I think it's scary.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, so you can see the apprehension and the I mean, it's a very profound thing. I actually love watching Mark Ruffalo. I think he's a great
He has
actor.
some really
But
weird
aside
hot
from
takes though,
that-
sometimes,
Yeah. He does, and I think that is what you want. So you don't want someone who's saying things that you want to listen. You want someone who is just speaking their mind. They think that's what he thinks it is. It might not be true, but it shows you his apprehension. It shows you his deep fears, down there.
It's not just him. It's everybody. It's everybody.
It's everybody's thinking
on
the
that
same
round
thing,
table,
right? So he's opening up about the idea that have you seen Toy Story? Which is true, bro. I mean, Woody and Tim Allen's character Buzz Lightyear, all those, they're iconic characters. Why do you think they exist? And the weird part is this: after Tom Hanks dies, it's not weird. It's true. After Tom Hanks dies, they have enough data on him that they could create, if not him,
at least his voice. At least his voice. Yeah, they have plenty of data on his voice.
And I'm sure his family is going to capitalize on that. If they are approached and they say,
They'll be like, we can make money on this guy's
We can
voice.
make money on this. Let's go, baby.
Let's go,
It's like, that's
baby.
what's going to happen. Yeah, let's go. Let's do
license
this.
it.
So, I mean...
it'll be like the Tolkien.
yeah.
It'll be like the Tolkien estate, right? Like his generations, forward all these generations, they're still making money based on all the licensing for his books and stuff.
Oh, they're making great money, man.
The
They're
Tolkien
making
estate
great
is making
money.
so much money on just on the licensing of his books.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we are... If... this is a great movie. Me being a movie buff, there's a great movie from Ronin. with Robert De Niro in it, right? So there's a scene, right, where Robert De Niro and what's that great French actor? I forgot his name. Jean Reno.
Jean Reno.
They both are sitting in the car and they're on a stake. They're on a stakeout. You know, they're watching this door.
Yeah,
and they've been sitting there for like fucking like an hour or some shit like that, right? Or maybe more. And they're sitting there and they're laid back in their seat. And there's one of those like black cars, you know, like an old Audi or something. And it's like one of those French streets. You know, they're parked on the side, you know, like parallel parking.
Yeah, it's a promenade. Yeah.
And yeah, it's like a promenade. And they're sitting in there. And John Reno pulls out a cigarette and he lights a cigarette for De Niro, and they put the window down and they're smoking. And you know, this lady steps out of the opens the door, steps out, looks left and right or whatnot, and kind of like just, you know, walks away. And John Reno says, like, do you doubt, you know, that she is, you know, doing something along that line? And he was like, and then he has this iconic dialogue, like, when there's doubt, there's no doubt.
There is no doubt.
Right? And I was like, what the fuck does that even mean? Right? Like, is that even English?
Yeah.
But over time, you realize that, you know,
you realize the sentiment. You understand the sentiment. Yeah. Like, what
the sentiment is basically that, you know, if there's a doubt, there is no doubt that there's something going on there. Like, there is, if you have a doubt. So you should clear your doubt. So I think at the moment, an actor like Mark Ruffalo, he's on that pathway. He's thinking that, you know, I have a doubt, and at the moment there was no doubt until guilty until proven innocent. Kind of a
but
mindset
I
at
think
the
what
moment
Mark Ruffalo is
when
saying
we
is
get
like
technology.
legitimate. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
But the question is again, what the other guy was a great actor. I think he was like, he plays the
villain
Moriarty.
in Sherlock. Yeah, he plays the Moriarty in Sherlock. Yeah.
And apparently his new movie's coming out, Ripley. They're doing a remake of Ripley on Netflix.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's all in black and white. I mean, the trailer is in black and
Ripley
white.
is like what, the Reanimator, right? Ripley's Believe It or Not, that one.
No, not Ripley, believe it or not. He's doing The Talented Mr. Ripley. Have you seen
Oh,
that
The
Matt
Talented
Damon
Mr.
movie?
Ripley.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So
yeah,
he will play what Matt Damon was playing. And yeah, you know, and I believe that it is an adaptation of the book, or I think it's an adaptation of a book.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was a great movie when I watched it back then. But now I think they're going to do a whole mini series out of it. Anyway, getting sidetracked there. But coming back to it, like he questions Mark Ruffalo. Like, do you really think so? Do you really think?
Yeah.
You know? But like then, you know, he thinks Toy Story is that, right? So I think if children are born in the era of AI actors, they would not miss. Maybe.
But here's the thing.
And that's where YouTube will begin, right?
No. Let me.
That's why a lot of people are watching YouTube.
Let me do a little bit of a. Let me spin it a little bit, okay? You and I. We, actually not just you and I. You and I were actually born when typewriters existed, okay? When we saw people using typewriters. There are people who are younger than you and me, who were born in the era of the digital computer. Okay, the oldest thing that they saw was a was an IBM, you know, was an IBM 684 or 686, okay, with that big yellowing shitty, like, you know, keyboard that went clickety clack clackety click, that one. Okay?
Why did it go yellow though?
Because the plastic that they used would actually had a defect in the mold.
Does it oxidize or something?
Yeah, it oxidizes and makes it yellow. Yeah. So it gets oxidized and becomes yellow. All you have to do is just put it in like a solution with hydrogen peroxide, and then just give it blast it with, like, you know, white LEDs, and then just the yellowing goes away. Okay. So there's some, like, you know, it's some like weird magic over there that actually happens. Some like, you know, optical dynamic, I don't know what you want to call it. It's some weird thing happens. Let's just put it.
I had a bit of a nerd moment there. You know?
Yeah. Anyway, so for me, when I discovered that, I used to watch these restoration videos on YouTube. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent, but watching this restoration video, and this guy, he took like this really old Super Nintendo, which did the same thing, because I had a Super Nintendo that freaking yellowed the shit out. Okay. And my mom thought it was all dirty, and I had to fight with her to say, no, keep it. I want to keep it for the rest of my life. And, you know, I still have it. It's sitting right up there, okay, in its box. But that Nintendo is like yellowed to crap. And then I saw this restoration video of this guy. he restores it to basically making it look like as if the day it was out of the box. Okay.
Wow.
And I was like, bro, I need to do this. Like, I have to. That's like now one of the things at the back of my head that I need to do eventually when I get everything else settled that I need to do is to restore my old raggedy ass Nintendo, Super Nintendo, okay, to back into like working condition. Anyway, coming back to this whole thing. So there's a generation that purely grew up on computers, okay, on clickety clack keyboards, okay. But that same generation now, if you go online and if you look at like the kind of discourse that is happening in circles where there are people who are writers, like young writers who are coming up, they are all getting into typewriters.
Yep.
All of them, they're getting into typewriters. So this is a generation that never experienced typewriters, but they are the ones who are buying the most amount of typewriters. Like typewriters are going for insane prices online, bro. You can get a typewriter from the 1950s going for like $1,000 on eBay, fully restored, fully cleaned up and everything. And I'm sitting here like, who the hell is buying all this stuff? Like, who do you like? And you look at the demographic of the people who are actually purchasing it. Like in Melbourne, there is one store. It's called the Last Typewriter Store in Melbourne. Okay, and the people who are buying it from when the guy was asked in the documentary who buys it from you, he's like, oh, everybody buys it from me. A lot of young folks. He was surprised himself. He's like, a lot of young people, people who are in their 20s, they come and they buy typewriters from him. And he was genuinely surprised, and I was surprised that I was like, oh, what are they doing it? What are they doing with those typewriters? And they're buying it because they probably want to use it because he sells typewriters that can be still used. So that's one thing. So my whole thing is the more digital you go, the more digital your entire world experience becomes, the more you crave for something that is physical, the more you crave for something that is real.
Right.
And one movie that actually describes this really well and shows this really well is Blade Runner 2049? 2049, right? Blade Runner 2049, the guy, he has this yearning to be loved, right? K, whatever his like name is. He has that yearning to be actually loved, right? Even though he's a replicant. Spoiler, by the way. He is like it's too late now.
Fuck you, man. Fuck you and fuck everybody else.
Yeah. Anyway, so he has this yearning, okay? Even though he's like not a human being, he has this yearning for something physical. He wants to actually be loved by that
but
digital
I think that is
woman,
where
right?
the fallacy is, right? Robots trying to be human. That is the biggest fallacy.
Yeah, I know that is the biggest fallacy. But what
it comes from Superman.
What I'm trying to say is that look, they gave him the emotions of a human being. That's the whole thing, right? They gave these things the emotions of a human being, and the emotion of a human being craves something physical, regardless of how much digital stimulation you give them.
Right.
And that's what's happening. Why do you think that books are still like a huge market, bro? Hardbacks, paperbacks, mass market paperbacks. There's still a massive market for these things because no matter how much digital you get, you still want to buy physical. I went to a book exchange the other day just to see what old books they have. And bro, the amount of books that exist in this crappy town.
But that's like saying that the audience for theater has actually grown over time. More people are watching theater today.
Yeah.
Unless it was COVID.
But theater has actually evolved as well. The audience that goes and watches theater are generally well off as well. They're richer.
The rich are getting richer. Of course,
Sorry?
I said rich are getting richer though. So,
yeah. The rich are getting richer. So what I'm saying is certain art form. And here's the thing: buying a book is not cheap. For a hardcover, it's $30, bro. $30 US. By the time you convert that to Australian,
kids will. The question now remains: will kids continue buying game cartridges?
No, kids
will
won't.
Continue buying.
No,
books,
kids won't.
Physical.
No. Kids will
saying.
not.
That's what Paul Giamatti is saying, right?
Yeah. Kids will not. But eventually, when they grow up into adults, when they grow up past that whole only emotional satisfaction, right? What do kids want? Kids just want emotional satisfaction. They want that thing right now, right this second, emotional gratification. Give it to me right now. You give it to them, they're satisfied. They don't care what the format is. They don't care what the implications are, what the ethical implications are of something.
Yeah.
Okay, they don't care. They just want the thing. End of story. Once they get the thing, they're happy. Now, when you grow older, when they start developing nostalgia and they start developing, other kind of, I guess, senses, other than just like, oh, just give me this thing right now.
Right.
That market develops. Anyway, I'm ranting on this for too long. Let's just move on to something else. Let's go into
So emote portrait. What's that, Mike? You want to talk to us about that one? I think
emote portrait.
So
did I put that on there? Hang on.
It's a new. It's again another terrifying piece of development in the world of AI.
Okay.
So,
okay.
That's why I think I kind of agree with what Mark Ruffalo is saying.
Oh God.
Put the volume now.
I haven't
But
seen
she's
that.
singing. So.
Yeah. Okay. So you just need a face. No, but stop.
Yeah.
Stop the
Reference
music.
image.
Stop the music. Stop the music. Stop the music. That's actually pretty impressive.
Like different. Oh yeah, it is very impressive, and just like look at, and it keeps going on and on. Like it's pretty big.
Yeah. So hang on. What is this
that's
AI?
Just one. That's just one.
It's an emo. So the AI is called emo.
Mona Lisa talking
Shakespeare.
Shakespeare. Yeah, emo portrait. Yeah, and then there's this one. Look at that.
Oh, rapping in him.
Said it like a play date, but a vacate.
No, close it.
It's like DiCaprio. It's like So there's all these different ones. That's I think
Audrey Hepburn.
Catherine Hepburn.
No. Bro, close it.
Catherine Hepburn. Or Joker.
My father was
So Heath Ledger's
a drinker.
He put the Heath Ledger stuff on there.
And one night, he goes off crazier than usual.
That's what I'm saying. The reason I waited, for you.
He doesn't like that.
Bro, we should have started with this, bro. This is terrifying, bro.
Yeah, it is terrifying. But the reason.
Me watching, he takes the knife to her, laughing while he does it. He turns to me and he says, "Why so serious?"
Nice.
So what I'm trying to say is that I wanted you to basically give me your full take on the whole fucking what Mark Ruffalo is talking about, right? And then I thought to myself, I'll keep this just as a rebuttal to what he's saying.
It's impressive.
So now
it's impressive. But
it is impressive, but this is something that some cunt has done at home.
I know.
Now imagine what Marvel
teams
can do.
will do.
They have. Teams will do, or what fucking, like when you have the might of the fucking, NVIDIA is backing, working with you on that.
Yeah.
What do you think you will create out of that? Right?
Let's put it this way, right?
So his fears are not. Like
I'm not saying his fears are.
The guy works in the industry,
Bro,
so I'm thinking if he's saying that.
I'm not saying his fears are unjustified. I'm not saying that his fears are.
No, they're not unjustified. What I'm saying, but his fears will come true much,
of course,
much
bro.
faster
It's not a
than what we
matter of
think.
if. It's not a matter of if. It's a matter of when. But what I'm saying is, the market for people who will actually go and watch real actors will actually mature. There will be people who still.
If you can't tell, then it's mature already. The reason, if you watch Star Wars, the sequels, okay, in that one, after I think what's her name, Princess Leia, she died, the actress.
Carrie Fisher.
They got her animated again, Carrie Fisher.
Oh no, she looks fake. Though. In the thing, she looks fake.
She looks fake, right? Because they didn't have AI tech, they didn't have this tech
They didn't
in
have
there,
that
right?
tech in there.
Imagine if they had that tech, and you couldn't tell.
Yeah.
If you
I'm
couldn't
sure
tell,
they'll release
it wouldn't matter.
a cut, with this tech in there already.
Of course, I think Disney will not do that. But if Mr.
George Lucas is gonna get his license back, and he's like, "I'm doing this, nigga.
I'm doing this, right?" What George Lucas should do is go back to them and tell them, "I want to buy back all of this."
Disney will be like, take it away.
Take it. We don't want it. It's useless, right? And then he will do this whole AI thing. So what I'm trying to say is that if you look at the new Top Gun Maverick, the reason why it did so well, apart from good storytelling and all that, cinematic flair, is that there's a amazing YouTube. There's a small channel known as Rabbit Hole or something, I think. And this guy, right, his video went viral. He talks about that there's no such thing as no CG.
Yeah.
And he did part 1, part 2, and part 3. And he did one video, it went viral. And then it took him a whole month to do the second video. And then another month. So I think he's still on his third or whatever journey. The first one he talks about is Top Gun Maverick. And he says that there's so much CG in there, but you just don't
100%. There's a lot of CG in there.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what happened. people went and watched it and they thought to
There's no
themselves
CG.
that this shit is real. All of it is real that I'm
Yeah,
watching. I mean, some people could tell, okay, maybe the rockets that are launching and all that and chasing them, the dogfight might not be real, but they're thinking that these pilots are actually sitting in cockpits and flying and shit like that. So, dude,
But I
there's a
think,
lot of
okay.
technical
So coming
wizardry going
coming
on.
back to that. Now that you think
So
about
my
this,
question to you is, if they don't know that this is not, then
yeah,
it
no,
doesn't
I mean, then yeah, of course it doesn't matter. But at the same time, don't you think that there's gonna be two kinds of movies? Then there's gonna be like one made with real actors and one made with AI actors, or there's gonna be a mixture.
Well,
there might be like a movie that's made with both AI and real actors. You could have that in the future. I mean, you're having that right now.
It's happening
You're
right now.
It right now.
It is
yeah.
happening right now. The idea that you replace a real actor that people are used to
Yeah.
watching, like imagine The Irishman, 5 years from now, if they made it again, they wouldn't need to have that same tech that they did right now, which is that they got old
And they
actors
younged them up.
playing. They younged
Yeah,
them.
they
up.
did the whole Tim Burton
they,
thing.
They youngified them, right? You know what I mean? So to bring back their youth, they
They
used
did
all
the
that
whole
tech.
Benjamin
So
Button thing.
they had dots and all that on them, and they would do the role as in much comfort as possible, and then they made them look younger.
But now they'll be like, "All right, mate, you just act. We'll just use this old photo of you,
Correct.
and we'll just
use
like,
AI.
smack
We'll
that
use
into you."
AI to make you look young. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that, and once they pass away, like imagine that Paul Walker situation, right? Paul Walker died while filming the Fast and Furious. Don't know which sequel
6.
was that, but
Fast
anyway,
6, I think.
6, right? Let's say it's Fast 6, right? When he died during that sequel, if they had the tools that they have today, he could have been a bona fide like a character in the movie. They could have got his brother to play all those scenes, and then using the AI voice and all that,
They could have fixed it.
just layer it on top. So what I'm saying is that is the technology where it'll head into that area. You will still need stars because a lot of people don't understand. Mark Ruffalo plays Incredible Hulk, which is already CG. So to turn him complete CG is not a problem. But people like
Tom Cruise,
Robert Downey Jr. or Tom Cruise or whatever, a lot of people don't underestimate the
but
power of
my whole take
activity.
is people like
They still need actors to promote the movie.
my whole take is Tom Cruise, right? Tom Cruise, Robert Downey Jr., all these guys, when they get to a certain age, when they're like super old and they can't perform anymore, they themselves will sign the contracts that say
they will because their income coming. That's what these guys are waiting for.
So for them it'll be like a good retirement, continuous retirement,
and they will use
income.
them. And they will use them to promote. That's what they did with Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford came on, did all the sequels, right? And he would just rock up and all these, and he make fun of himself. Like, they told him, like, I remember that Jimmy Fallon sequence where he goes like, so when you put on that jacket,
what do you think?
You went on set, how did you feel? He's like, man, the money was so good.
The money was so good, I didn't have to feel it.
Yeah, I don't have to feel it. That's why he said something like that. It's about the money, right? So in reality, I think that in the future, yes, there will be a lot of tech. I mean, it's happened in Dune. If you look at Dune, the vast vistas they have on
it's all fake.
In the sequel, it's all CG. I mean, there's a huge amount of use of CG in Dune movies. But they've laid it so well that you can't tell
it's like
where
the
CG
Zodiac,
is
right? The Zodiac Killer, that movie. When you watch it, you don't think that there's any CG because you'll be like, why is there a CG in like a thriller drama type movie? But it is filled with CG. Like it is completely to the brim. It's filled with CG in the backgrounds and in the locations and everything.
Zodiac Killer. You mean the one?
Jake Gyllenhaal.
The one with Robert Downey Jr. and
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey
Jr. Right?
Jr.
Mark Ruffalo, all those guys are
Okay,
there.
maybe I don't know. I can't remember.
Jake Gyllenhaal and Robert Downey or Mark Ruffalo.
I can't remember.
But yeah, the David.
But
Fincher
it's a David Fincher movie. Yeah,
that's another movie I want to watch again, man. I heard it's a very
it's
good
completely
movie.
filled with CGI. Completely filled with CGI. You just can't tell. It is so good back then, because they had to recreate the whole 80s and 90s atmosphere, right? The outdoor scenes and the indoor scenes. So a lot of it was done with CG. You just don't see it, and it's amazing. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, look, realistic actors are going to be there still, to a certain extent.
Well, while they're collecting data on
people,
existing actors. While they're collecting data on, existing data exists for all these people in Hollywood.
But then, okay, let's look at this, right? We're talking actors now. Let's say something more simpler. Brandon Sanderson, right? You can feed AI today all of his work. You can feed ChatGPT all of his work, and then tell ChatGPT to come up with a piece of work that looks like Brandon Sanderson. And ChatGPT,
Yeah, but I think it can't do plot.
it can't do plot today, but it will eventually be able to do plot. Then what? Is the human element is now gone. Now you can generate any story and every story you want, and you can read whatever the hell you want.
I think it'll work well for children's books. So imagine you have
that's
an
what I'm
app
saying. So
and
complex.
you feed it all the artwork and everything, all the complex.
Yeah, again. So remember, AI is good at tasks, task-oriented stuff. I need to do A, I need to do B, I need to do C is good. Abstract concepts, not yet.
Yeah, but do you think Avengers is something that requires a lot of brain power, like a lot of
Avengers. No.
Writing?
Brandon Sanderson himself.
I think it's Teletubbies for adults.
Brandon Sanderson himself says that for when he saw Endgame, right? He was really impressed with the storytelling. Why? Because
for comic books,
yes.
Movies,
As a comic book movie, yes. So Avengers, when you make Avengers, do you need a brain power for that? Yes, you do. It doesn't seem like you do. It seems like you don't. But plot is an abstract concept. You can take it in any direction you want to. You as a human being have to make a decision that this is the direction I want the plot to take. This is the direction that people might find enjoyable. What the AI can do is AI can analyze like 100,000 plots. And then it can say, well, look, 100,000 plots, these are the plots that made the most amount of money. So let's come up with a plot like this. That's what the AI will do.
Right.
But just because the plots made a lot of money doesn't mean that they're necessarily good plots. You think AI will come up with a plot like Misery for Stephen King?
Yeah. AI can't do
AI won't do that.
Yeah, but I think it can churn out Saas Bahu dramas.
Oh, that bro.
That, right?
But bro, those things.
Yeah, so I think that's what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of garbage that will continue.
Those things are really brain dead stuff. I agree with that.
Yeah, AI can do that. So that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of uses for AI. The use case for AI are
a lot. Yes.
All right, and if you're going to create like a whole universe of movies or whatnot, and you want to just create dialogue, like dialogue for example, there's a sequence, okay, and in that sequence you just want filler dialogue. Like
characters are in like an elevator.
Song.
Characters are like in an elevator. They have to do small talk.
Yeah, small talk, right? Or you just want to put in temporary dialogue in there that will get replaced by a real dialogue,
placeholder dialogue, yeah.
For example, placeholder dialogue, or you're gonna have placeholder music. You can just say, I want Harry Gregson style music of a thriller, whatever. Can you pop it in there? I'll do it. Or you can say like temp music, temp stuff, temp sound, temp music. And can you imagine? You have a sorry, this whole thing is turned into like a filmmaking podcast.
That's fine. No, because all of this stuff plugs into filmmaking easily. That's where it'll be employed the most.
Yeah, so if you think about, imagine you shoot a sequence without the sound being done at the moment. You edited it. All right. The guy opens the door, comes out, walks down the stairs, gets on the street, dogs are barking, there's cars going by, and the guy is going for a run. Okay. And, you take that and you pop it into a machine, and it analyzes that and it automatically starts placing sound. At the moment, Foley artists create sound, and all that sound is created and then they add it in. Now, complex movies like Transformer, whatever, where sounds are mostly alien in nature, in the sense they have to create it from the ground up. It could fill in 80% of all that sound anyway, using the library of sound that is already there. Or create sound. Even better. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you will still need people to finesse and all that, but it'll just speed up production very fast. Like right now, imagine the amount of shows we have right now.
What you're talking about.
Imagine the amount of shows it will be in the future.
What you are talking about is, again, task. It's a task-oriented thing. Oh, I have a task. Dog barks in this scene. I need to put a dog barking sound. I have a task. This man comes down the steps. I need to put task. Task is put footsteps in there. That's task orientation. But when you say, let's say you're shooting Dune, right? Okay, you're shooting, and this massive ship is about to come into the planet, okay? And there needs to be like a certain mood. It needs to have that that kind of sound, right? Like the whole fucking Dune and Mass Effect style, sound. AI won't be.
You can tell it that I want Inception kind of a trailer, kind of.
Yeah, you tell that to the AI, but the AI will do its best to fulfill that task. But when you listen to it, you'll be like, nah, mate, it doesn't have the thing that I'm looking for isn't there. Then you will go and get somebody to help you out with it.
Okay, so then again on that one, I have friends who goes like, you don't need that level of commitment. Like if you're delivering a piece of product or work, it's you're supposed to do the basics.
Yeah.
So maybe it doesn't require it to be that 100% perfection is not required. That's something. If you're some mom and pop store, or if you're someone who's going to create a web,
No, but
ad or
what's going to
whatever,
happen
maybe you
is
don't need
you're
that
going to
level of
have
production value.
like, because AI is going to touch every single aspect of human life. You're going to have music directors who will actually and use AI. A.R. Rahman did it, right?
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
and people don't
People
even
don't
know.
even know. Yeah. So
people
A.R.
are
Rahman
going to
did
watch
it.
that
A.R. Rahman
movie.
did it.
Yeah.
And people are happy with it. So you will have music directors, you will have people who are existing in the business already. They will leverage AI and they will basically just work less and earn more. Basically, that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna be like, yep, here's Harry Gregson Williams is gonna take all his work over the last like 40 years that he did, feed it into like Stability AI, and he's gonna be like, all right, mate, spit out like oh, exciting scene, man running, I need like some power thumping music, and it'll be like the whole like Harry Gregson Williams style, style thing,
Well, I understand that actors will obviously make money from that if they're still wanted and they have
Look,
a
you
good
still
career.
need somebody.
They still
You
have
still need
opportunity
to
make
shoot
money
somebody
out of
on
it.
screen, right? Regardless, I mean,
Yeah.
Sora AI is there 100% and it's doing a really freaking amazing job of like replicating something that already exists. But for new stuff, you still need actors. Now, you will have actors who might look very close to what Tom Cruise looked like. Now the lookalikes, right? They'll start making money. Okay? If you look a lot like a certain actor,
lookalikes, man.
you are now more prized.
Like those Tom Cruise
Yeah,
videos.
you'll be like...
So that's what I'm saying. There's a whole career of actors who will portray, imagine the guy who plays Amitabh Bachchan. Right? Or the guy who...
It's like okay, hang on.
Before, Shah Rukh Khan,
before you
guys,
carry on. It's like cover bands. When the main band dies, the cover bands become famous.
Yeah, they do.
The cover bands start
ABBA,
making a shit ton of money,
Yeah. Beatles, ABBA, Elvis.
Yeah, Queen, all of them. All the cover
it.
bands are starting to make all this huge money. And the best cover band makes the shit load of money. But they make millions, bro.
But now the question is that how we are going to make money.
Oh,
you and me, when we go, vending machine error reveals he could face in his database of college students.
So there was a vending machine that was installed in a lot of these college campuses. Yeah. And the vending machine threw an error. So if you scroll up, you can see where the error is.
Yeah,
that error. I don't know if you can read it. I can't read it from this distance.
Yeah, the exception unknown software exception occurred in the application.
Which is a very, very common error. But the thing is...
and it says on top, NVIDIA vending facial recognition app.
So there you go. So there's a very nice facial recognition app.exe that was running in the background. Yeah. And this particular vending machine, it malfunctioned and it revealed that this vending machine provider was actually recording facial data of students on campus without their consent.
Yeah, but that is even at work now. At work,
bro, you go to Woolworths,
places where they have,
you go to Woolies. No, forget about work. But you go to Woolies, bro. You just look up from where you are standing. Just look up. There's cameras in like every single sector, and they probably have more data on you than you have selfies on your phone. Okay, they have so many cameras. It's just unbelievable. And I was like, when did this happen?
Why are they recording?
When did this happen?
No, but why are they recording? So I went to an AI conference, and in that one, someone asked a question to the CTO
of Woolies
of Coles. Okay. That why do you guys take photographs? And he says, "Oh, it's just there to."
Yeah, bro. I don't trust. I don't trust him when you start your thing with like
such a
when you start your answer with, "Oh, it's just there because." I'm like, nah, mate, you're out. Like, that's it. Khalas, finished. You're done. I don't think whether they're recording and deleting it or whether they're keeping it is besides the point. The point is that you are recording it. The point is I am being recorded and there is no consent given there. So I don't know what you're doing with that data. Either way, this is where we are right now. Privacy has become such a...
my biggest thing is that why are they recording it? So I'm still not able to figure it out. Like, how can a retail... How can
I think they're recording it.
I
think they're recording it as a second source of and they're recording everybody's facial data and they're going to sell it. Another source of income.
But sell it for what?
No, data brokers, bro. They'll buy. They're about data brokers and data people who are into buying and selling data. They'll buy anything. It doesn't matter. You as a person, your data on the black market is worth like $12 or something. Now combine that with millions of faces recorded, hundreds of thousands of faces recorded times 12. That's a lot of money.
Right. Yeah. Next one on here is NASA seeks volunteers to pretend to live on Mars.
So there you go.
So
that one person who's watching us, NASA,
yeah,
has this program where they want people to actually go and live in this 3D printed, massive 3D printed building, which is like temperature controlled and climate controlled, and they want to do some kind of ground mission training basically for people, so that I think the expectation
1
is
year inside this fucking
it's a 1700 foot this thing 3D printed structure, and they want to see how people react. They want to see how people behave. The only kind of people who can go there, they're not dumb people like you and me. You and me are too dumb to actually go into this thing. We need to be engineers, or we need to be like very smart individuals. So yeah, it's something that they're gonna experiment with. I don't know what.
Is that pretty big, or that's really looks small?
1700 square feet. So it's pretty. It's okay. It's not like
pretty big. Yeah, it's bigger than a normal house. The shoe boxes that we live in. I'd rather go live there. Right? You've not seen my house.
But yeah, you're gonna get paid a good deal of money though. It's a pretty good package.
That's the first piece of property we actually get paid.
Exactly, get paid to live in a piece of property.
Yeah.
Maybe just on that note, people will be like, "Man, I'm graduating and going to NASA."
Yeah, exactly. Just go to NASA. I mean, can't buy a house now. Fucking after spending all that fucking money and going to debt. Studying.
Let's just go to NASA.
I mean, dude, I saw this. I saw a Reddit post yesterday on Oz Finance. This guy, right? He owes a lot of Hex. And he's living overseas. And he's like basically saying that I'm making shitloads of money overseas.
And Hex can't touch him.
And I do not want to pay Hex. And is there a way they can catch me and all that? Like, there are people who cannot afford to pay debt, bro. And they're living overseas. Because if they come here and get a job.
It's not about afford to pay. They don't want to pay. It's not about afford to pay.
No, but I think for the kind of work he's doing here, the money he's getting with the tax and everything, he's probably getting more overseas. That's why he's still choosing to stay.
Of course, yeah.
You know what I mean? Ultimately, you're living overseas. Because there's more money, less tax, and you're able to save more. If he's here, there's more tax, and you save less money, and you have to pay your debt. So he's like, at least, I mean, if they made it worthwhile for this person to not being able to pay so much tax and not being, there's all these other pressures, inflationary pressures. If they're not there, maybe that person will pay off.
He might come back,
right? Plus, there's interest accumulating on the Hex.
Oh yeah, the compounding aspect of interest, bro. There you go. Yeah, he's never coming back.
Seriously.
Don't worry about it.
He's never coming. I think I'm really lucky in that regards.
We're all lucky, bro. You and I.
Thanks to our parents.
We're both lucky.
But I don't know, children in the future, man. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I might have to go live at NASA.
No, man. You tell your child not to go to uni.
I'm an astronaut. Get on that mission. It's never happening.
You tell your child not to go to uni. You tell your child to become a butcher. That's what you need to tell your child. Butchering is going to become like the hot ticket jobs of the future. I'm telling you, bro. Because people won't be able to kill animals. There'll be everybody's going to be vegan. Okay, they're going to be too pussy to actually kill animals. So you need a butcher. Somebody has to chop them animals.
Right. Yeah, I think that's another one. Yeah, killing animals. Slaughterhouse.
Yeah, abattoirs, bro.
That's a career.
That's a career to get into. Get dirty.
That's something. Yeah, that's something. I think it'll be bigger than cyber. 100%.
Sure. There's no AI intervention. AI can't do the chopping for you. Okay.
That's right.
AI is not going to go and grab the animal for you.
You guys heard? You heard about Google Genie?
No, bro. I heard about Google. Google's having their own problems with Gemini.
Google's got too many. Yeah, Google's got too much.
But you saw what Gemini did recently. Gemini.
Look at this one. Yeah. The Gemini, the one where the forefathers are all
black. They're all black, and Google's stock price just went like you just dipped like crazy.
This here.
What is that? General playable world. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a game that has been.
It's an AI game engine, basically.
AI game engine. So it says here, Google DeepMind just dropped Genie, an AI that can generate interactive video games. This is a huge deal. Genie is trained on 200,000 hours of unsupervised public internet gaming videos and can generate video games from a single prompt or image. But here's what's insane. Despite not being trained on action or text annotations, the foundation model can determine who the main character is and enable a user to control that character in the generated world.
There you
like AI generated video games, mate. This is definitely got a
now
use
the
case
kids
to
are now,
begin with
now
for
the
children.
kids are all going to be like, yeah, mom and dad, I'm going to be a video game developer.
I'm gonna be a video game developer, daddy. So that's what's gonna happen there.
I'll be like, man, shut the hell up.
And yeah, I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff going on. I actually follow
DeepMind, huh?
Rowan Chung. He's
Rowan
pretty
Chung
good.
is actually pretty good. Yeah, I know his stuff.
Yeah. There's a bunch of them. There's Lucas as well.
There's Lucas,
so I follow a bunch of them where I get most of my AI news from. But that's what I'm saying. Like, people are caught up in the whole data analytics and just working off data that sits inside an Excel sheet. People are forgetting there's all this other tech that is coming their way. And of course, it's going to be terrifying, right? It's kind of weird. We started with a very safety, oriented video. Something that makes you feel nice and a little bit patriotic if you're Indian. And then we kind of like, as the podcast is going ahead, it's just becoming more and more terrifying, right? So, I think maybe we should put a note there.
Not for the weak of heart.
Skip to, maybe, in the title, you should write skip to that to experience terrifying, right? Maybe that should be the title. Excuse me. So, yeah, I was just running through a bunch of these ones here. So, yeah, I mean, Google Genie. So I think
that's interesting. Actually, that's actually a bit interesting. Google Genie is something that I find quite interesting.
Yeah,
I
think it's good from creating mods.
Yeah,
if you want to create mods or something like
if you just want to, or if you just want to, like if you just have an idea for something and if you want to see how it pans out, like a quick image and like a quick art, you just have like some artwork done and then you want to quickly just see how it feels.
Yeah, but the problem is going through a lot of videos. So it's going through all these platforming videos and then it's created that. So what I'm saying is that if you want to create a mod for a bigger game, maybe
you can't.
Creating mods trying to create a small mod for a certain part of the game might be something where this could start.
Not really, because you would have to actually you have to still train the AI on that particular game to create a mod for that game. You might as well just learn how the freaking game engine works and just make it yourself.
But if the engine is but if the game engine has been created using Unreal,
then all you have to do is Unreal.
Thousands of hours
you have to learn Unreal and that's it.
No, but there's already thousands of hours.
Oh, don't worry, Unreal. Okay, I'm telling you one
thing.
Unreal Engine 5.5 when it comes out. Okay, whenever that is.
It already has. Like at the moment when you're doing the landscaping, like you're building the terrain. It automatically
that's photogrammetric. That is different. That is a different thing. Landscaping, it just guesses how to render the landscape based on photographic data from the stuff that they've trained it on. It's called photogrammetry. Right. That's a different technique. But what you're saying is, what if somebody has to do some mod in Unreal? I'm like, oh, look, man, 5.5 Unreal will be like, here you go. Here's like an AI that is trained on Unreal, You ask it what you want, it'll develop it for you.
Take me to this one here, the Wheel of Time.
Oh,
plus
bro,
AI
this is okay. So the booktube went on fire, recently when this thing happened. Yeah. First of all, what do you think this is? When you read it, read the heading. Because the heading also looks like it was generated by some AI. And then just...
IWAT and Disruptive joined forces as true source to unleash AI magic on the Wheel of Time. Private beta now available.
Okay, what do you think this is?
Remake the legendary fantasy epic into the world's first AI-powered entertainment franchise.
What do you think it is? What do you think it means?
Are they writing new books using that? No. Or is it something else?
This entire... I read this entire thing. Okay, I read this entire thing. All it is basically Google, but for the Wheel of Time. It's a search engine for the Wheel of Time.
Okay, so why is that a bad thing? And why is this something...
Is this something amazing? It's not something that is a bad thing. It's just about... You have the Wheel of Time, right? Which is a book that people can read. That people can just...
Robert Jordan.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
This company has come, fed all the books to it, and now it's created this database that you can basically query. So you can just go in there and be like, oh, what happens in Wheel of Time? This person. You can ask it specific questions and it'll try to answer based on what happens in the books. Okay? Right. So it is kind of like ask the author kind of scenario. Okay? But the author is dead.
But only about...
It's only about Wheel of Time.
The books that have been written.
It's only about Wheel of Time.
It's only about Wheel of Time. No, but ask what questions to the author. Ask
them, why in this book does this person do that? you have people, you have like, fans who'll go up to an author and be like, oh, I don't understand why this character did this and to that person in this
Took that
chapter.
action, yeah. And do you
And
think
do you
he
think
really
it's
meant
really,
it or not?
yeah, so
really?
now basically the AI will answer it for you. Apparently this company thinks that there is money to be made in it because it's public beta for free.
But yeah, but what information is what's the source of all that information? Like
the books, and I don't know, maybe they have some notes from the author himself.
author's commentary or
probably.
whatever. Okay.
So it's kind of like.
So, and why did why did things catch fire? Like why?
I don't know.
YouTube
People just didn't.
The booktube went crazy.
Booktubers, right? They don't actually like anything being done past the original, I guess, book
canon.
The canon, yeah, exactly. So this is all that the author had to say on it. Here's a book that the author wrote about it. So there's also a book called The Companion to the Wheel of Time. Okay, it was written by two other authors that were, I guess they had the license, they had the permission from the author's widow to write that book about the Wheel of Time. So it's kind of authenticated basically. So people are like, why do you need this whole Google thing for Wheel of Time? Which, by the way, is because Amazon now owns the rights to those books. Okay. So why do you have this Google thing for Wheel of Time?
Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon has the rights to, I think, certain rights to Wheel of Time when it's to be used in like media and on the internet and all this kind of stuff. Amazon has a lot of rights to Wheel of Time, unfortunately. And from what I've heard, that the show is like pretty bad as well. It's like Rings of Power level bad.
Yeah, but it's got a season 2 as well. So someone's fucking watching all that stuff. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, not the people who read the book. They're not watching it.
Well, all that information.
That's why.
And all that.
All I did
power.
was I bought the actual book set. It's coming. It's on its way.
Yeah. Well, all that compute power needs to come from somewhere.
Of course.
So I think where that is going to come from is from places like these. Or maybe I'm wrong here, so educate me a little bit. This one here is the new IBM Quant System 2.
There's some sexy angles right there.
Introducing the IBM Quantum System 2, the world's first modular utility-scale quantum computer system.
Quantum computer system. There you go. Not.
Quantum System 2 was designed to tackle complex problems that lie far beyond the.
We're going past human ideals, human ideals, boys.
Bro. How big it is.
This has nothing to do with AI, by the way. Quantum computing doesn't actually do anything to do with AI.
Yeah, but they've upgraded it, so now I think they've added quantum into it. Yeah.
Quantum.
But it's still got silicon and everything in there.
Yeah. Quantum computers are different. I will be the first to admit that I am not able to understand how quantum computing works.
Well, the best way to explain from a
there's a lot of
point
physics
of view,
involved. Is all I know. There's a hell of a lot of physics involved.
Yeah. So complexity it can do, but I think it just the failure rate is pretty high. Like you could run a calc on it, and it could fail, and you could restart it again. I mean that's one was Michio Kaku. Okay, so I saw a video about, and he's got a bunch of videos on quantum computers. So this one here, if you just go back a little,
you can see there's like a lot of these weird like heat pipes and like things there.
Yeah, so this is where the processor sits inside. And this entire thing, this whole structure on top, it's just a way of cooling.
No, it's not exactly all just a way of cooling. There's actual physics.
I mean, that's what Michio Kaku said, that this whole thing is a heat sink.
Oh shit! Really? Okay. I thought it was a bunch of physics.
Bro, that's what I thought as well. That's what I thought as well. If someone watching like prove me wrong, I mean, yeah, happy to do, because I mean that's what my understanding is.
That is like the world's most elaborate heat sink
thing.
Holy crap!
Yeah. This heat sink here, it basically cools it down. So,
there's like little channels for water as well. So it's water and air cooled both at the same time.
Yeah. So if we go back and listen to what this guy said
about physical qubits, we now need to be concerned with circuit size. By the end of 2024, each of the 3 Heron processors in Quantum System 2 will be able to process a remarkable 5,000 operations in a single quantum circuit. Yeah. But the real triumph of Quantum System 2 is its modular design. Our new quantum coupling technology will allow multiple Quantum System 2s to connect together to create systems capable of running 100 million operations in a single quantum circuit.
Yeah, but by the time
continuing down this path, we plan to realize a system capable of running 1 billion
that background music that they playing at the back. And itself is
That is like some. That's like some.
That's what we call
You know what's
quantum
that?
systems. Build it.
Space Odyssey level stuff right there. You know,
Yeah,
it'll be like
Today, our
eventually,
clients
this
and
quantum
partners
computer will be
are
like, I can't let you do that, Kyle.
I can't let you do that, Hal. That's what it's like.
it's deployed in the world's most powerful classical supercomputers.
Look, I'm really impressed
And
by.
soon,
I love how they
thanks
call it classical supercomputers.
I'm really like yeah, this is impressive. This is actually amazing. If I can do 1 million operations, far out. Like this is oh sorry, how much was it? Like 10 million operations or something. It's
something like that. Yeah, up to 10 million.
It's insane. That is like just insanity levels of like stuff, and that's exactly why you have IBM, right? This is what IBM is actually supposed to do.
There's a whole keynote and everything about it and all that.
Bro.
So I think, wow, it's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: I am too dumb to even understand what cursorily.
Well, there are a lot of. Quantum computing. Basically, how electricity travels through circuits. In this one, it's not like that. It's basically actual like neutrons.
Yeah, actual
like,
physical neutrons
pulses,
move. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they are traveling. And but look, a lot of people have had a contention against it. A lot of people have said, it's. I think Neil deGrasse Tyson, right? He also mentioned that they are not perfect, and there are a lot of problems with it, and in terms of keeping it cool, and even from a physics point of view, it is not perfect, and the room for
I think
error is pretty
Google
high.
was really heavy into quantum computing, and then they dropped it somehow. They just abandoned quantum computing as well.
Thing is that everybody's going down the whole semiconductor.
Because
the whole idea is that you can have data centers do that.
Just because Nvidia finally figured out that this is how you build a semiconductor with like AI tensor chips, and boom, like you have this massive ability to do compute with
Correct.
AI.
Yeah.
I think IBM is still kind of betting on the whole.
And I think we're also underestimating the power of good software design, like good programming. So overall, if software is designed well, it requires less calculations.
It'll be more efficient,
efficiency and all that. So efficiency doesn't need to just come from a hardware point of view. But I think that quantum computers will always remain, at least for the foreseeable future, something that's a bit on the outskirts of tech. It's not something that
good money in it though.
nations can
If you
afford.
do become a quantum scientist and you work for these kind of companies, really
money
great
is there in anything. I think that is on cutting
By the way,
edge.
if you're an engineer who actually ends up going and working on any kind of an AI product, I remember reading that there was a salary of like $900,000 per year or something. It's insane.
Where is that? Google?
No, not Google. I think it was Microsoft.
So a lot of these
I think it was
jobs, man, they
Microsoft.
only exist in the big 7, the big 10. Yeah, the problem is that once those areas are fulfilled, those jobs are not vacant anymore. What then? Where else are you gonna go? Who's
Where else
gonna
you
pay you
gonna go?
900?
Well,
companies can't afford $900,000.
You're gonna go down.
They don't pay that much money to their executives.
Bro, you're
How
gonna
they
go
afford
down
paying
you're gonna go down the ladder. That's where you're gonna go. You're gonna take that trip down the ladder.
Yeah. I mean, so I always wondered. So we'll end it on this. I always wondered how, like where. My sister sent me this one, I think.
This is Australia. It looks Australian.
Yeah.
Definitely Australian, bro. This looks like somebody smashed in like the.
There's a Billie Eilish song that is based off this.
Oh really?
You know that?
I don't know.
Yeah. There's a Billie Eilish song. I'm not.
Don't play it here, but yeah.
But yeah, I'm not gonna play that. Yeah. But there's a Billie Eilish song. You can just look it up on the internet. That kind of is based off this tick 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 tick. But I kind of wondered, right? This mechanism is so simple, and it goes on forever and ever. So do they have people who do they still build these things? Because look at all the wire work and everything. It looks pretty old.
It looks pretty old.
You know?
I'm sure that
all the
now it's a lot more
components in
efficient now. It's not going to be like this bulky and wiry. But there's a physical bell in there. So
like someone broke through this fucking thing, man. Look at how thick.
Yeah, somebody took like a sledgehammer to it.
How
That's what it
thick
looks
that
like.
plastic was.
Yeah, look at that. That's not even like
smashed it,
bad.
yes.
It's like ABS plastic, man. It's molded and stuff. It's like pretty serious thing.
Yeah.
This thing is supposed to outlast generations. It's supposed to outlast you, me, your children, my children. Okay, that's how tough this thing is.
But I think it's a genius piece of invention as well. It kind
definitely.
of just works off electricity. It sits there. It's waterproof.
You know what we should
and
do?
all
We
that.
should do like another show where we just discuss legacy tech, like how good legacy tech was, how well built it was. Like like that shit.
like
was,
my mom's food blender
yeah,
and
oh
food processors
bro,
and all that.
my parents' food blender is still going. I've bought like two.
It's still
I've
going.
bought two in that time.
Yeah, my mom has a juicer And it's still going, bro. You know, but it doesn't have a control.
It doesn't need to, bro. It doesn't need to.
It doesn't have control for low, medium, high. It just is high all the time.
It doesn't need to. It works on high all the
time. You put an orange, you squeeze an orange or lemon on top of it. It just eats through the skin, bro. It's that harsh. And
those blades never need to be sharpened. You know, for some reason they all just keep go.
The quality, bro. They just keep going and going. You remember the Energizer Bunny?
Not the Energizer Bunny. People make a mistake. It's the Duracell bunny.
You know what that is?
That is the Mandela effect.
Known as the Mandela effect. That is what
everybody thinks it's the Energizer
like everybody
bunny.
thinks it's Energizer, but it's actually Duracell. Far out, man. Far out. Okay, on that note,
let's just call this a day.
We should wrap this up. All right, guys. See you, bots. See you next week.
See you next time.